And we're live. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our first ever webinar with the Omakase show. And my name is Oana. I am Web3 marketing expert, I would say. I've been working and creating marketing strategies for digital art companies. And recently I became co-host and curator of the Omakase show. The Omakase show is mainly X-based show, but we're also launching our podcast and webinar series. And I'm here to do the webinar series, as you can tell. Omakase show has the aim to empower creators. So we normally invite a lot of talented artists, digital artists, so they can tell us a little bit about their journey. And today we have Han, and I've been a collector of Han's work and also like a big admirer. I've been following her work for like a few years now, and I would say it's beautifully, amazingly generated AI art. Hi, Han. Thank you so much for joining us today. I think it would be amazing if you can give us a little bit intro into your background and what do you do?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. I'd love to be here, and this is really great, especially for being the first one on this show. So pretty cool, and also for collecting my art. So really, that's great. Yeah, so I'm Hanne. I'm from Belgium. I have three young kids. So from a private perspective, it's kind of trying to juggle the fact that I'm creating art, some commercial work, making sure that there's enough time for the family, because we love to travel, see the world, enjoy nature. I also love Thai food, like curry. I was going to talk about the food that I love. But also Italian food is definitely on top of my list, for sure. What else was I gonna say? Yeah, I also like to work out, so try to find a good balance, like mentally, you have to be in a good place, but also physically, especially these times. So trying to find a good balance in all of that is kind of what I'm trying to find with doing all that physical work and workouts. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you so much for answering the food question. This is our like regular question on the show. What's your
Yeah.
favorite food? Thank you so much. Yeah, and I'm also pulling up some of your artworks. This is the one that I minted on Base, and I loved it. It was actually my first time converting Ethereum to Base, so I was like sitting there for like 15 minutes trying to figure it out. But I love this piece, and also another one. And
Yeah.
just pulling up your artworks, I wanted to ask you how your journey started and who are the digital artists that were your like inspiration since the beginning.
So yeah, from oh, my let me see, because my screen is just going. Can you still see me?
Yeah, all
Yeah,
good.
okay, perfect. That's fine. So from a digital perspective, I love what's everybody knows Claire, but what she's been doing from an AI perspective. I absolutely love that she's kind of paving the way, that there's more to just an easy way to click a button and create something with AI. There's a lot more to it. So I definitely love what she is doing there, for sure. But also in general, from an art perspective, I'd say like my grandfather, he's also been in a certain way a big influence in my art, because he's always been a fireman, diving. Actually, he was a diver for the force, and he was a very strict and kind of sec person, you know what I mean? But he also created art, and he was a lover of different cultures. And even in those times, they traveled a lot, my grandparents, and he would always take with them lots of things from different areas in the world. And just the fact that what I in my art as well try to create is like there's more layers to life and what people show, and that's kind of just in a few sentences a bit of the art that I create, and people that have influenced me. There are of course a lot more in this space because it's a real discovery. Especially online on X, and there's so many great people that have not yet been discovered or just creating such beautiful things. So yeah, that's a kind of a bit of my influence, I'd say. Just also the validation that AI can have a bigger meaning than just plain creating something and have nothing behind it. So you said that as well beautifully, and in the past. So I love that there's more emotion into it than what meets the eye, maybe, or what people think.
Sorry, can you? Yeah.
Is the connection a
Oh,
bit?
yeah. I think you froze just for a second, but I think it's
Okay, it's
on my
back.
side. No worries, no worries. Thank you so much. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing this. And I mean, actually, this is a struggle that a lot of artists are dealing with in terms of sometimes they're a part-time artist, maybe they're even like they don't have this possibility yet to become a full-time artist. And I know you've been through this. You had a corporate job, and
Mhm.
then you switched to becoming a full-time artist. So what I wanted to ask, can you tell us a little bit about this transition, how you quit corporate job, and also maybe how do you see if this impacted your art in some way? And another part of this, I'm sorry, it's a big question. Maybe you can have some tips that would maybe empower other artists who are struggling with their full-time job and being an artist, what they can do, how they can proceed with this. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, absolutely. So I'd say my from in my particular situation, what kind of happened to me, I loved my corporate job for a long time because when I was younger, I was like, oh, I need to have this job. And like, women making sure that they also get are able to get somewhere and be able to get a solid job. And so I kind of had was at the point in my job that I traveled a lot, I had done a lot, and there was COVID. I think that for a lot of people was kind of a maybe a switch. Like you start to think like, how's my life going? And we had just 3 little kids, so it was really juggling to get everything done because we were both working full time. Um, and due to some physical reasons, I really had to quit my job. And I fell into burnout or got a burnout. Well, it's an ugly word, just to say like you're just too far from yourself, actually, from what you love to do, what you are kind of meant to do, and what feels good for you. So I was kind of in that place and started looking into or kind of rejuvenate the fact that I had in the past an education in photography and done some gigs, but also I started doing interior design as an education, jewelry design, so lots of things that were creative. So it really felt like I needed to do something with that. Also abstract painting, and then at I think at the end of 2022, like AI crossed my path, and for some reason I just started with it and started discovering it and what you could do. So I first started like sharing what you can do with it, like more in tutorial way, educational way, but it was also kind of a healing process for me as well, that I could see like it translated certain things that I was going through, and it was a really nice way to actually express it and kind of play with it and have a good feeling about it. And I'd say I've been lucky so far that I found people online on Twitter that have become a great community for myself, or that I ended up in. And I think that's the beauty of it all. Like, you don't have to be necessarily on social media, but in my case, I really enjoyed it because, yeah, I had the feeling like there's a lot of people going through similar things. They're trying to find a new way in life just to make art, whether it's AI or different ways. And I stumbled into the Web3 community, NFT, so all of that. So that would definitely be a tip for beginners. Do not be scared. Just try to put yourself out there. There's a lot of people and that are just super nice and are willing to help. Like, even with what we're doing here, I just love this and the opportunity this has given to me. But also, wait, do you still see me, or am I still in the show? Because it seems like you're frozen, but I don't know if that's me or you. I'll just continue for a moment and I'll hear from Elena. Chatting. Okay. Oh, I think she left for a moment. Yeah, she's back.
So sorry. Yeah, I'm. I'm the person you're the host, but yeah, you've been on the part where you've been covering your perspective, how your experience can help another artist. And I also I was thinking, like, whenever I come up with any sort of excuse, I would be thinking about you, because I think you mentioned 3 kids, which is full-time job for sure. So yeah,
Yeah.
you inspired me a lot with this part. It's insanely amazing.
Yeah, thank you. But like, it feels like society is expecting that you need to be able to do everything. Like, you need to have a solid job, need to have a good earning on that one. You make sure you need to be you're social, go out with friends, and if you're on social media, there's an extra factor. There's family, and there's just, you cannot do everything. You don't have enough time. You have to make choices. And also for me, it was like, I love my job in a certain way, and I love working, but I need to be doing more work that I love more, that I can express myself, that gives me more joy, so I can also be more present for the people around me while doing that. So it's a juggle and trying to find a balance. But yeah, absolutely, it's all time and energy absorbing, and you need to safeguard that a bit. Absolutely, yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I want to switch to your creative process. And when I first saw your artworks, I would say it's super memorable. And this is what I love about art, in particular artists, that they create something memorable. And once you've seen one artwork, you would be able to differentiate all the others and, like, name the artist. And your art has this super soft, beautiful pastel colors, beautiful soft lines. And so, can you tell us a little bit more about this theme, and how you come up with it? How does it impact your creative process?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, and it was also a learning process for me, because I was kind of drawn to certain ways of expressing myself and visualizations of it. But a lot comes from the fact that I've always been working in an IT job, like a bit of marketing. And I think like 90% of my coworkers have always been men. And so it always felt like I need to be tough and I need to be just putting myself out there. And at times that's possible, but I also came at a point that I was like, I need to embrace my feminine side. All the aspects that I have there just need to be out there more. And that is, it entails bringing a certain softness. It doesn't mean weak. Also something I needed to kind of embrace, that it's not weakness, that softness, all those things are really a strength, that that there's empathy in you, and those different elements, like trying to, for myself, how do you say it, be at ease with that, just trying to actually accept the fact that those are good things and good skills and good things to feel as a woman, that it can be out there and that it's okay. You don't always have to be kind of the tough one. And I think those elements of softness, and like I said before, with the different layers, like the translucent elements that I often have in the things that I create, the pieces, is also a way of like saying there are different layers to everybody's life, whether it's me and somebody living next door, or somebody you meet on the street. There's more to what meets the eye, and not everybody always puts all those different elements out there. It's like when you, like they say, when you're peeling an onion, you get closer to the heart and closer to the different elements that somebody makes up somebody, who that person is. And those would be the different elements that I try to initially, even without me thinking about it in that way, but it really also helped me in my own process, expressing myself and getting to know myself a bit more in that way as well. So yeah, those different elements are incorporated in the art, and I love that you say like you would be able to distinguish things that I create from somebody else. Yeah, that's definitely a compliment. So thank you so much for that. It's great to hear.
Thank you so much. And I love that you touch this part of femininity that you're trying to explore with your artworks. It's a little bit weird question to ask, but do you feel that your theme and how you represent it also kind of like creates character, you kind of like attach different characters in this type of form? Would you say you have more females collecting your art, or is not the case? I'm sorry, this question is a little bit too straightforward, but as you've been talking, it's just something that got into my head.
Yeah. No, I get the question, and I haven't really checked the numbers that much, I would say, but I have been in conversation with people that have collected it, and also some physical work of the things that I have put out there to print recently, and it's often a female that kind of falls in love with the art and would love, wants to hear the story behind it, because they also are drawn to a piece. Like if you fall in love with some art, I think there is some elements of you that are really connecting with the art. So yeah, I totally get the question, and there have been more feminine or females have spoken to me about it, I'd say.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's actually beautiful, and how you put it, that something connects with your characters about your art. Yeah, I love it. I wanted to jump to how you incorporate generative AI. I know you have a long journey working with AI. You've been also like kind of like giving up workshops on AI. Um, but I want to know more about your creative process, how you create an artwork in terms of like AI, using AI and incorporating AI into this process.
Yeah. I would say there's different angles to which I approach it. Sometimes it starts from scratch, and then it's like, oh, there are different certain things that I want to visualize, like I don't know, that I really put out those different elements that I love and want to incorporate in there. And I start from scratch and kind of reiterate over the different elements that I have in there, the colors that I use, the way that certain elements are and materials are visualized, and I kind of play with that and see how it goes, and adjust and do edits to what I've created in various programs. And that's one approach. The other approach is what I also love to do is kind of mix different pieces together. Even the physical ones, like I do painting, and the painting that I do is also kind of with different translucent layers on top of each other. And it's very abstract, so it's very different, but I also love to sometimes incorporate that and mix it with what I've created before, and then I'm mixing actually different pieces together, and maybe trying to visualize something totally different with it, and iterate over those different elements as well. So it's often that I start with an idea, but I also kind of start from an empty mind. Like if I have the need, like I need to explore something, and I need to, I don't know, it's kind of, sometimes it's a need that I want to create art and want to do it kind of without having something in mind. And then when you end up with something that you love, that's the greatest thing actually. But it's a process that really helps and clears the mind a bit. Yeah. So I don't know if that kind of explains it, because on my head I'm seeing all those steps, but I don't know if that's
No, I think you covered it. But yeah, as you've been talking, I've been also thinking. I think maybe I'm wrong. A lot of your
I think you're falling away again. Maybe just quickly jump out and in, because I don't. You're frozen. Let me see. It's always difficult to know who's frozen. Is it me or the other person? Elena? Let me just leave the studio and then come. No, she left. She'll be back in a second, and then we can continue. And that's what live streams do. Yeah, she's refreshing and she's coming back. No worries. I can hear. Maybe she's restarting the computer.
I'm so sorry. I'm like all red and super ashamed about it.
No worries, no worries. That everybody sees it's really live.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. What I wanted to ask is basically, as I understood, but I may be wrong, your paintings are mainly figurative. You have beautiful female figures, postures on it. And can you tell us a little bit about these characters that you incorporate there?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. I've actually been thinking about that myself, because to me it feels like they need to be there. I love kind of abstract settings, and I think you also kind of see that in the settings that I'm creating. But I also like it when there's a figure in there, and I think it's like representation of maybe some other feelings more related to like solitude and calmness. And you know, one of the reasons that I got into art more than before versus my corporate job was that I like it's a whole rat race out there. And I needed to set my own boundaries. I needed to make sure that I could just take on life at my in my own pace, and decide what I wanted to do next, and have a certain calmness, because you know, with 3 kids as well around the house, there is never a dull moment. So having all those different elements to me and a representation of them in the different pieces that I create is kind of bringing that calmness into a person, and being visualized in the different pieces that I create. So that's kind of my interpretation of how I see that they kind of need to be there. Yeah.
Wow, I love this answer. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's beautiful. I have another question. I think it's a little bit like hard to answer, but maybe you observed it before. Your work has been exhibited globally. I know you just had physical artwork exhibition in Belgium. Also, you've been exhibited in Amsterdam, if I'm not mistaken, also somewhere maybe in Asia too. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
have you ever noticed how your work is perceived in different cultural contexts? Does it have any like impact in this sphere?
Yeah, I would say thank you for the question, and it's kind of a tough question, because I to really understand the impact of it, and why a certain piece has been exhibited in a certain location, you'd have to talk to people or the curators of those events, obviously. But um, I would say, like, for the different, like if I entered open calls or those kind of things, I kind of also looked into the specific themes. There is often a theme related to it, not always. Um, but I have to say that I have chosen different types of artwork if it was going to be displayed in Asia versus if it was to be shown in Copenhagen, for instance. So, from that perspective, maybe a little bit, but I don't really want it to influence the choices too much, because that then you're presume oh, how you say it, like you're assuming, yeah, assuming things. And I would love to be just focused on the things that I love to create, and I love it when somebody else really enjoys it. So I think only from that angle that I have some knowledge, that I have chosen maybe a different piece for certain locations, I'd say. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, it makes a lot of sense actually.
Yeah.
And talking about exhibitions, can you tell us about like some memorable moments that from your experience exhibiting? Yeah, and maybe you can also tell us about your like last exhibition, which was physical art.
Mhm.
As I remember correctly, it was in a church, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I'd say my actually the first memorable event that I went to was in Copenhagen. It was in the first actually that I went to as well, physical. So yeah, it was really great. Just also to experience that there's people behind the people that you are communicating with daily and regularly see online. And so it makes it really tangible. Like, there's a lot of really nice people, and it's so good to meet them in real life, actually. So that the Copenhagen one will always be top of the list, I'd say, because it was such a warm welcome. by the ones organizing it, and also the people that I met there, which and those people I've met them afterwards as well, and I just love that. And so along the way, I've been to, I haven't been to so many. I've been exhibited in several, because yeah, one was also, for instance, in Beijing and in Miami, so like that would cost me a lot. That would be great, but maybe when it's going a bit better, maybe I can afford that. But yeah, it's really great seeing people in real life, because I also I've been part of a different community. They're called the Builders DAO. I don't know if you've heard of them. And it's also a really great community, kind of like what you guys are doing as well, making sure that the artists are just being put out there, and really making sure that they get the spotlights. And they also help you connect with the collectors, which is really great. They have an awesome team as well. And yeah, I've met them as well at a certain point, and that's just so great, because you can connect really with people, and everything goes even more smooth afterwards. So that's great. And then talking about what the last part that you mentioned is the actual physical exhibition, and that was also next level, I'd say, because I love prints. I love really the physical things. Like when I was younger, I used to collect these notebooks, because I really love kind of touching paper. It feels like a weird thing to say, but I love just notebooks and papers and types of paper. And yeah, so I was really excited about this one, where I was able to print one of my work, like 100 centimeter by 80, which is, well, I find it kind of big, and then exhibiting that, and making a sale there. And that's just awesome. Also meeting the collectors. It was such an epic setting. It was an old chapel, actually, which was located into nature. You could have a really nice walk through nature there as well. And yeah, it was a great experience. Also other smaller, because it was an event also for emerging artists, where people could buy something art at an affordable price. And there were some smaller works from more known artists like Banksy or Roger Ravel, which is more local, I'd say. A couple Belgian artists that are really great. And so it was an honor to actually be there, and connect with collectors, and curators, and all those things. And I really love for both worlds to come together more, because I've also been trying to, what I've done is the physical print of the work I've done, sold it, but also together with an NFT. So that's great way to introduce people to the whole NFT setting, and just positioning it as some sort of ownership certificate, I'd say, for people buying the actual artwork. So I think that combination is very powerful, and also to get more people, yeah, knowledgeable on whole Web3 and NFTs, and what's going on there, and why it actually has value. So yeah, that's been great. Yeah, great experience.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. And also, though I started more in Web3 space, I would say I really enjoy when there is this digital option where you purchase NFT and you get a physical print or an artwork. And I would say a lot of people in the space also do, but in your case, it is also like it's even better because you've been onboarding traditional collectors more into Web3 through your NFTs. It's a beautiful case, yeah, and enjoying when these digital drops are happening. And also, like, I'm also super happy to find out that you have prints. I didn't know it before, so yeah, it's beautiful.
Mhm.
I want to go to like final part of the webinar and ask you your tips for emerging artists who are trying to enter Web3 space, or maybe even digital artists. And I would say maybe some artists who want to incorporate AI but just don't know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's definitely probably different angles to those different persons, but if common tips, I would say, like, just kind of put yourself out there. I think social media is a very powerful medium, and especially because I've rediscovered Twitter, or X nowadays. I didn't like it in the past because it was all about, I don't know, it was not, there was nothing visual about it. So I was more like kind of more private sphere on Instagram, because yeah, photos and images, loved it. Didn't like X, but then rediscovered it with with just going back in the whole AI and NFTs, etc. So I would say definitely put yourself out there, share what you're going through, what you're creating. There's so many people that can relate to what you're doing, and can help you in the process, your own journey. You can learn from others. There's so many people that are so helpful and open, and there are definitely a lot of opportunities. Like, I'd say a lot more versus I don't come from the traditional art backgrounds. I just hear about it and I just kind of research it. There are also open calls there, but in a certain way, I think they're more difficult to actually be selected. And there's still lots of opportunities in Web3 and this whole new emergent technology and hub and community that is going on here, like with Hug and Join. And there's lots of communities like you guys joining like-minded people. That's great. Like I also did with the Builders DAO. It's, there's lots of ways to connect with people so you don't feel alone, and that can help you on your own path. Even though it's online, there will be some opportunities to actually meet people. But I do have to say, you have to be careful with the whole social media thing, because mentally it can be really time consuming, but also can take up a lot of your space in your head if you really make it a daily thing. And there's lots of people that are successful in that, but it's not always easy. Just also try to focus on what you love to do, and that's the creation part, and just take it step by step. It's not going to happen from day one to the next day. There's a journey to this for everybody. And the whole social media thing has helped me a lot, also for opportunities. So definitely that would be say, so well, that's two things. Put yourself out there, as social media can be very helpful. And I was going to say a third one, but I don't know which one. In terms of resources to really get you going on AI, there's like a lot of people that have created things. Like there's a bunch of people on X that I know that are creating and different tutorials, like really small snippets. There's also a couple smaller courses that you can follow. I also give workshops, so you can always contact me as well if you want to take a really head start on it and really just get going with it. So there's a lot of free content out there, but there's also people that really offer some guidance and one-on-one sessions or anything related to that, to help you. So yeah.
Thank you so much. I would say I would contact you in terms of guide, because I had like, I don't know, like 3 attempts to actually try out Midjourney, but I just failed to register. I don't know, I know Discord, I'm familiar with the server, but it's a little bit like hard to actually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and I think even in my profession, it would be like Web3 marketing. It would be super useful and helpful, not even in terms of creating art, which is actually like a beautiful process, but I would say in terms of creating just some small graphic visuals. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Beautiful and amazing that you do the workshops. So yeah, everyone feel free to contact Han if you want one. Um, and I would say this would be the last question for today. Can you hint us on what is coming up next? What are you working on right now? Maybe some exciting projects you can already tell us about?
Um, I've well, it's I'm taking on a couple commercial projects at this point, just to make sure that there's a good combination for, especially from a financial perspective, I'd say. Uh, yeah, never be shy to just do whatever is necessary to also support yourself and your family or whoever is needed. By doing so, a lot of people do it. So for me as well, I have a couple of commercial projects that I need to focus on in order to support myself. At this point, I'm kind of thinking what to do, because last week I finished up my catalog for physical prints. It's at this point a PDF version, but I want to get it on my website, which I just also launched, but it's really basic, my website. So I'm actually just some practical things that I'm working on. And and then I'll probably have to see, because it will be the coming weeks that I'll be occupied with the commercial projects. And then in between I'll be creating art, but I probably don't know at this point what I'll do with it. I want to create some more NFTs, maybe a small collection or something. That would be great. I also want to invest in the physical prints as well, because I really love it. Would also love to offer it a bit more. The ones in that catalog are one-on-ones that I offer, but I also want to provide some which are probably at a more reasonable price, just the prints. So those are actually things that I'm working on at this point. So it's a lot of simultaneous stuff going on. Yeah.
It's amazing actually, and I would say I would get my 101, which is like fading memories, printed as well. Honestly, I'm like you. You said you like to touch paper. I'm like honestly the same. I love everything that is printed, or even like paper books. So I wish you all the best with the start of like printing and incorporating prints regularly.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
yeah, and thank you so much for being here today. I would say this is the last thing I normally do. Sometimes my questions don't cover it all, and maybe there is something you want to share before we end the webinar. So we can use this minute to do so if you have something you want to cover.
Well, first of all, I just want to really thank you for inviting me here. It was really a pleasure to be here and just kind of share my path and what I've been doing. So I love to hear that from others. So thank you for this opportunity. And for the rest, yeah, I just wish that everybody could do what they love and just try to build towards that path, even though it's not always easy and there's going to be some tears. You just have to stay true to yourself and just sometimes take a moment to yourself to enjoy life and what you're doing, and how grateful we can all be to just do all of this and be here. So that's just my last words here. Thank you. Oh, I think you froze again almost.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Han. Thank you so much for being here, sharing your beautiful story. And I would say we will meet again for sure. And next week we would have another episode coming up, so stay tuned. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye, everyone.